There were 4 main players in this operation. Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luo, Luya. If you guys don't recount, we're going to ban this country. And when you hear a leader say this, I said, you guys, this is history repeating itself. You have not learned from a neighboring country? If we keep saying that 5 Kikuyus were yesterday killed by Luos the other time, this is just going to make matters worse because Kikuyus are going to retaliate in the morning. So luckily, I think a group of CEOs plus the media bosses came together and then said, guys, let's put together the biggest communication heads we have in this country right now and change this narrative.
Yeah.
And that's how I was brought into the room. It was not far off from Kwibuka. You've been given the task of navigating your first private radio station post the genocide.
What radio was that?
I did this. So I went in with my understanding of radio that I had been taught here, that radio is a fun, jovial, loud, nice place. I get a phone call from somebody in the ministry and they say, you know Kwibuka is coming? I say, yeah, I'm aware of it. Have you changed your programming for the month of April? What do you mean? You have to change the programming, move from this happy stuff. We're going to mourning and this conversations. Now the advertising is also very upbeat. So I'm losing that revenue. I remember one day I got home and my maid was on the compound in the garden, rolling, crying, wailing actually, like someone had beaten her.
What year was this?
This is 2004. Because it was sort of like the 10th year anniversary.
Yeah. That was intense.
Yes. In 94, I was in a school called Namasagali. Namasagali is by the lake, by the River Nile.
Yes.
We would go to the lake to swim. We would see body parts. Just see an arm is going in the river.
Now, when we talk about xenophobia in Africa, we always think, oh, it's these South Africans. They think they're better than us. But it's in every civil society.
Yes, and you're right. Kenya was complicated. Like I said, they're very competitive people. They said, why are we getting a Ugandan to work on our radio station? Like we don't have Kenyans who can do that here. Now, you have to switch stations. And then one guy says, but let's check. I think he has a Kenyan national ID. Figured that it was fake.
Oh.
So they thought I had faked one.
They thought that you had a counterfeit national ID.
This is the very, very best. I introduce the very, very next. Big deal. You know this is the big league. Sanga mumihanda ya chigari mega big fish. Word on the street to Akagera. Habari gani mumeze mte. Yutenshimi mana kuva honda muchiye. If you want the long form, come close and rabure. Wait, what?
The long form.
What did he say?
The long form.
What?
The long form.
The long form. The long form. This conversation is brought to you by Akagera Medicines, a biotech company that is majority owned by the Rwandan people. Akagera Medicines is not only committed to expanding access to healthcare, but also supporting conversations that inform, educate, and empower. Learn more about Akagera Medicines by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting their website at akageramedicines.com. East Africa has been described as a region moving towards integration. Open borders, shared markets, a common future. But the reality is much more complicated. At the same time, another shift is happening. The mass media that once shaped how societies understood themselves is starting to fragment. What comes next? My guest today on the Long Form podcast is Marcus Kwikiriza. Marcus, a radio veteran, media strategist, worked across Uganda, Kenya, and Rwanda, and has spent decades inside the systems that shape how people think, move, and connect across this region. So this conversation is about more than media. It's about identity, movement, and power, and whether the idea of an East African citizen is real. Marcus.
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the Long Form podcast.
Thanks for having me, Sunny.
We were talking just before we started. How do you say welcome in Uganda?
Kwikiriza. Is that the word? That's too goddamn long. Is that the one? That's too long. Kwikiriza. But ideally, you Jevale is like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
But
like,
you're a Munyankole.
yes.
So how do they say welcome?
Twakwachira.
Twakwachira.
Yes.
Twakwachira.
You welcomed me to Long Form Podcast.
Yes.
So
Twakwachira on the Long Form Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to sit down with you.
Thank you.
You're one of the people that I'd call a big brother. While I was still struggling in school, you were doing the work that I'm trying to do right now. You're trying to, you were talking to people, you were telling a story, you were entertaining, and you were informing. It wasn't a podcast, it was on radio.
Yeah.
And so today's conversation, I really want to speak about what it means to be an East African, what it means to speak to East Africans, and what it means to be a communicator in today's world. You've lived and worked across the vast majority of East African states. So you've worked obviously in Uganda, you came to Rwanda, you did a couple of years, you also did major work in Kenya.
Yeah.
So be honest, is there such a thing as an East African identity? Or do people still fundamentally see themselves as Ugandan, Kenyan, and Rwanda?
So, to answer your question immediately, the answer is people see themselves as individuals from their countries. And by people, I say the majority of the people, minus the ones like myself and you, who have actually lived and worked in those countries. So, myself and you who have had the privilege of working and living in those countries might have a semblance of what it is to be a true East African. But we are under 1%. The rest of the Ugandans, Rwandans, and Kenyans, they see themselves as Ugandans, Rwandans, and Kenyans. The nature of the East African camaraderie hasn't yet reached down. Here, we're good.
Yeah.
To the masses, or so to speak, your everyday guy, I don't think they can consider themselves, I'm an East African. They'll say, no, me, I'm a Ugandan. That guy is a Kenyan. Other one is like,
You guys are strangers. You guys are
yeah, well, I mean, we are supposed to be working together, but at the end of the day, you're not a Ugandan. At the end of the day, you're not a Kenyan, you're not a Rwandan.
What's your experience been? Because like you've said, you've traveled, you've worked, you've made friends across the different parts of the community, you've eaten the different food. What's been your reading of all these different nations, right? So you're a Ugandan, you see things through a very Ugandan prism. You go to Kigali. How do you navigate a totally different reality and still remain with your Ugandan identity?
So I'm fortunate enough to have been born in Kenya, but I'm half Rwandan.
Yeah.
So for me, navigating any one of those two other countries is a lot easier than your ordinary Ugandan, because the Kinyarwanda language is not strange to me. We occasionally used to speak it at home. So I knew the basics of Kinyarwanda. I'm a lot better because I lived there now in Kinyarwanda. My second language was actually Swahili. So I'm very fluent in Swahili. Sometimes I think even a lot more fluent than I am in my local dialect, Nyankore. So for me, I would not be your ideal person to answer that question from a general standpoint of an East African. But for me, I have had the privilege of being able to, when I was in Rwanda, I was Rwandan. I was not a Ugandan working in Rwanda.
Really?
Like I because of being part Rwandan and having very many Rwandan friends, and being able to speak the language, I became a Rwandan.
And you did not feel, I hear what you're saying. I'm like, we're almost the same. My mother is Mtoro.
So
is it through your dad or your mom? Your mom is a Munyarwanda.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's super easy for me to navigate these two countries. But when you're moving into a different space, you still have to, at some level, suspend what you define as normal.
Yeah. So mine was a bit complicated, but the one thing I had told myself is every time I'm going to go into another country, and at the time I didn't even know I was going to go to Kenya, because Kenya found me when I was working in Rwanda comfortable. But I said, and you've been given the task of navigating your first private radio station post the genocide. A lot of...
What radio was that?
I did this.
I did this.
Yeah.
That was with
Nyagahene.
Nyagahene, yes.
So, and he pulled me from here. So he says, listen, we need you to first of all understand the genocide in totality. Because at the time it was happening, I was in high school. I didn't really understand it in its totality. Yes, you read about it here and there, but you don't really, you know what I mean? Like those who lived it and you are on two different wavelengths. So he says, before we give you this job, and you're the one to manage our programming from start to finish, it's very important that you understand what the genocide was, the impact it has on people, what a radio station did during the genocide, what this means for us to now have a private radio station post the genocide, the impact radio has on all the communities. All of that for me was drop into the deep end. Figure this out.
So walk us through that. Because he tells you need to do this.
Yes.
Walk us through your findings.
So
your research, your learning.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was get into as much of the local population as I can without having to leave Kigali. Just within Kigali, talk to your maid, talk to your shamba boy, talk to your border guy, talk to your talk even the guys who were there. Say, no, I want to talk to somebody who was here during, not these Rwandan Ugandans who came post the genocide, who moved back. No, I want to talk to the guys who were here. And when you talk to them,
what do you find out?
So I went in with my understanding of radio that I had been taught here, that radio is a fun, jovial, loud, nice place where everything should be informative, but should be fun. Now, I got the job in, I can't remember the month, but it was not far off from Kwibuka.
So Kwibuka is usually
April.
Around April.
Yes. April. So I am still putting together my entire solid lineup of programming, interviewing people who are going to, be on the radio station. And what I'm selling to them is fun. Then I get a phone call from my only client at the time, who was a telco. It had just opened.
Rwandatel or
MTN. And no, I get a phone call from somebody in the ministry. And they say, Kwibuka is coming. I say, that is April, the morning period. I say, yeah, I'm aware of it. Have you changed your programming for the month of April? I said, what do you mean? He says, yeah, you have to change the programming. Move from this happy stuff. We're going to mourning and this conversations. Because part of the whole process of the Kwibuka area is, what's that thing that they do in Arusha?
The ICTR, that was
the reconciliation and
yes, the ICTR, that was the International Criminal Tribunal.
So, but there's the whole reconciliation part, which has to be part of your programming. I had not planned for that. I didn't even know where to start. And they say every single song you had put together for your lineup, Toa.
And for the
for that entire time, it is conversations and sad music.
And that's at that time, that was probably the full 100 days.
Yes, for that time it was at least they had said you have to do the month
of April.
So not the 3 months, but at least the month. So of course we pushed back a bit and said, look, a month without, because now the advertising is also very upbeat. Buy this bundle, buy so you have to remove all of that. So I'm losing that revenue.
Yes.
And I'm telling the guy, of course, the client has no problem. It's a national law, nothing you can do about it. But I'm telling these guys, I said, guys, if I lose this revenue for a month, I won't be able to pay salaries. They said, okay, we'll give you 3 weeks, but that's it.
3 weeks.
3 weeks of mourning, of music change, conversations change, all that upbeat stuff goes away. Remove all these funky adverts. If there's no advert, it's fine. But let people talk, let people conversate, let people relate, let people get over their grief. Reconciliation, that's the word. So let people reconcile. And if they want to come and call on the radio and cry, so be it. So I have to go back to the drawing board. So this was not part of what I came, but I said, you know what? I'm here now. This is evidently going nowhere. It'll happen every year, same time. And good for me, because this was also part of my history as a part Rwandan, that I needed to know this, that this was that serious. And going back home, I remember one day I got home and my maid was on the compound in the garden, rolling, crying, wailing, actually, like someone had beaten her.
Really?
Yeah, I get into the compound and she's running around, wailing. So I'm like, hey, do you go? Do you carry her? Do you stop? What do you do?
What year was this?
This is 2004. Because it was
It's
sort of like the 10th year anniversary.
That was intense.
Yes. So the 10th year anniversary, that's when they gave Nyagahene the license. And it was, man, a whole process that she was going through. I didn't know what to do. I left her. I called a friend. Luckily, it was a female friend. I said, listen, I can't call a male friend because if somebody has to walk, hug her, it has to be neutral, lest you think we're trying something else. So she came. She said, by the way, Marcus, relax. Don't say a word. Sit here and wait for her to go through the process. Now, this was the process when I was going through that entire reworking of my program lineup. And you have talked to people, you have understood how the magnitude of this matter, but I didn't understand it until that moment. That's when it hit home. Like, whoa, this stuff was serious. So that evening is when now she tells me her trauma and her version of what she went through and how she lost everybody in her family and blah, 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 blah.
And how does such a story change how you see what is the community around you? Because very often when non-Rwandans get to know about Rwanda, and everything is okay until you really tell them, then all of a sudden, it then becomes, oh, how do I trust these people? Because maybe my neighbor is a killer. Maybe, because that's what the genocide did. It broke societal trust.
Completely.
So now you're someone who's coming in from Uganda, totally different background. You've not been raised to be suspicious in that way. How does that change how you navigate your job and your experience in the country? Listen, I know just how annoying it is when, just in the middle of a really interesting conversation on YouTube, an ad appears. That frustration is why we've created the Long Form Patreon. For just $4 a month, you can enjoy ad-free listening, early access to conversations a full day before they're publicly released, and you're directly supporting the work that we do here. Every episode takes time, research, and sometimes plane tickets. We don't do it for money. We do it because we genuinely believe in sharing stories and conversations that matter. If you want to be part of that journey, you can join the Long Form Patreon by scanning the QR code that you can see right now on the screen or using the link in the description. And if membership is too much of an investment, you can still support us by making a one-time donation via our MTN Momo using the code registered under LF Media 95462. Thank you so much for believing in what we do. Here's a question. What are your secrets worth? And how far will you go to protect them? Every day, tens of thousands of hacked credentials for emails, social media, and other services are bought and sold on the dark web, all without victims suspecting a thing. If you're like me and desire some peace of mind, Threat Informant is for you. Built by ShieldTech Hub, a cybersecurity company, Threat Informant is a dark web monitoring online solution that allows you to search the deep web for hidden markets, detect your leaked data, and react before any damage is done. And here is the best part. It's available for government agencies, businesses, and individuals like myself. It's simple. If your data is out there, Threat Informant will let you know. So take control of your digital safety today and scan the QR code that you can see on your screen, or click the link in the description to sign yourself and your entire organization up. You cannot protect yourself if you don't know you're under threat. Get Threat Informant today.
So for purposes of context, in 94, I was in a school called Namasagali. Namasagali is by the lake,
Yes.
by the River Nile.
Yes.
And in those 100 days, and I have people who will testify to what I'm about to say, we would go to the lake to swim or to do whatever it is we're doing by the lake. You've left your boat.
Lake
you're
Victoria.
going to- no, River Nile actually.
Ah.
It's River Nile. And we would see body parts. Just see an arm. It's going with the river. You're like, what was it? What did that look like? But it's from a distance. You're like, da, da, da. Now, that went on for about a month. And when I got home for holidays, and I was understanding the magnitude of the genocide, the arm made sense.
Did you talk to your mom about what you saw?
Yes, completely. And everybody was at home in radios, following the news. It was bad. So again, I'm a guy who is in VAC. I'm like, yeah, it's a problem that's not currently affecting me.
Yes.
So the
It's
magnitude.
over there.
Yeah, it's over there. That's their stuff. It's the same way we had the war in the north in Uganda, but people in Kampala are like, that's their problem.
Yes.
That's not my problem in Kampala, but it's actually a problem still going on nevertheless.
Yeah.
So 10 years down the road, hearing this story and looking at that woman, that image came back. So everything that I was being told, that they were hearing on the radio, the arms I was seeing moving, everything came back full circle. I'm like, I didn't realize 10 years ago what big of a mess this was. Listening to these people now and having to actually navigate my way around their cultural struggles, it has hit home completely. Again, never be the same as somebody who actually lost relatives and cousins and people, whatever. But I sort of understood the magnitude of the genocide.
Does that make you understanding just how, because with radio, like you said, it was fun, it was about entertainment, it was loud voices, lots of color. Does going through that experience, watching your house help go through her trauma and listening to her story, does it make you a different kind of broadcaster?
Oh no, 100%. It first of all taught me that because the training that you're given for radio is you're taught to anticipate Sunny's thought process and his mood swings, so that I'm able to talk to you in a way that Sunny will take this message. So if we're talking about, and if I know that Sunny is a happy guy but he has a short attention span, I need to find a way to tell my story to you in 1 minute. My job is to figure you out so that I can be able to tell you a story better. It taught me that I hadn't fully understood people, even though I thought I did. Because number one, people are not what they seem, generally. Number two, this is a completely broken society. Even though we are trying to reconcile and everything, it's not as plug and play as I thought it would be. Everything that I thought I knew, I had to wash away and start afresh, because we are now in the process of understanding how to manage this new dynamic that I had not been trained for. And now I must find a way to talk to Sunny, considering what Sunny has been through, in a way where I am being empathetic, but I'm still giving information, but I'm also trying to give you hope.
But you're also program director. So I understand if you were the on-air talent and that's all you were, is that you can do. But you were also leading young men and women. Actually, a good friend of mine was part of the team. We'll talk about him off camera. But how do you impart? Because you're a leader. You've had a certain level of maturity, and you've done a certain level of research. And those experiences as a student and then a graduate, and then these experiences that you just talked about, change you and change how you see messaging.
Yeah.
How do you then teach that to the on-air talent?
The beauty about it is that everybody we employed was a local. I'm not teaching a Ugandan.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody understands this process. Now, some were not as impacted as others. Nature of life.
Yeah.
Some more than others, some lost more people, some didn't lose anyone at all. Some have a complete bloodline gone. We sit in a room and we all agree. In fact, I'm probably the only person in that entire room who doesn't have a complete understanding of what was going on 10 years ago. In that entire room of talent, I'm the one with the least knowledge or the least experience.
Of the most important thing that has ever happened to Rwandans.
To Rwandans. The people I'm talking to, I'm preaching to the choir. But I'm telling them that in as much as we have to keep cognizant of the fact that reconciliation is our target and our goal this month of April, we need to find a way together how to still keep hope alive, which is what the entire reconciliation process is about. So it's about what Kwibuka is about. It's about how do we still keep hope alive and know that Rwanda is bigger than that 1 month, those 100 days. We're still rebuilding, we're going to get back, we're going to do better. How do you keep hope alive before, like you said, the complete social trust is gone and gone for good? Then you're like, guys, we're going to go through the process. People must mourn. But in the process, the message at the end of every process that you have got through the crying, the what, the episodes, the sob stories, we're going to sell hope. This is what success looks like, guys. We are selling hope because there must be a tomorrow for Rwanda. And we are the first private radio station to be able to do this professionally. So let's get it right. And that's really how we turned around our messaging into that entire month of April.
And for people who don't understand just how important getting it right as the first private radio station was, because there are a lot of people who actually are listening to this conversation, they're like, what was the problem? The very first private radio, for those who don't know, was called the Radio Télévision Libre de Mille Collines, RTLM, what they call hate radio. And that was the very first private radio. I think it was established maybe around 1992. So when they talk about private radio, it became the mouthpiece of the genocide.
Yes.
So during this, sometimes it became super popular because it used to play great music. And in between the great music, some people, there's a funny story. They talk about the music was so good. So on one side, the rebels had the rebel radio. It was called Radio Muhabura, which was, a lot of it was messaging about the RPF, about liberation, and the fact that, Rwandans are one people. Then the other side, there was obviously Radio Rwanda. That was boring government. No one listened to that. Then there was the Radio Libre de Mille Collines. Now that one played the latest pop music, right? So we're talking about the power of radio.
Exactly.
It played the latest pop music. It was super popular. It had amazing DJs. Actually, even the scariest people, if you listen to them with their messaging, their style was magnetic.
It caught you. It grabbed you. The messaging
even while they were saying, "Kill your neighbor."
Yeah, these are cockroaches. Take their property.
Please, but they sounded so good.
Imagine selling such hate with vibe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering. On the top, it's Rwandan, the CEO, the founder. As you said, at the bottom, it's a fully local talent pool.
Yeah.
Then there's
the head of commercial was Rwandan, but I think she had grown up in France. So then after that is me.
Yes. So then there's you, the East African, the Ugandan. You're the anomaly in the room. How do you navigate that?
Again, I was lucky that I could speak the language.
No, there was no pushback. Every so often.
No, not really. Actually,
yeah.
I remember in the launch, the boss, Mr. Nyagahene, said, And he said it in Kinyarwanda, I'll never forget.
Yes.
Why have I brought a Ugandan to run our first radio private radio
who
station?
was he talking to?
Everybody, CEOs, ministry people. Why have I brought a Ugandan to come and run our radio station? And he said, because we wanted to get it right, we brought somebody with experience.
So he saw you as not as a stranger, but as a good.
Yes, and also he also said, but also as you can see, if you look at me, Numwene wachu. So he said, forget about the fact that he comes from Uganda, but as you can see, he's also Rwandese. So don't worry about that. And then when I came to speak, I gave half my speech in English, half my speech in Kinyarwanda, half my speech in Swahili, and I said, I'm an East African. But I have Rwandan blood, and this I want to do right. So because I understand radio, don't worry about it, everything is going to be 100% local. I'm not going to try and impose the Ugandan way of doing things or No, it's here, born and bred, and it stays here.
But then you were in Rwanda for how long?
2.5 years. Then I was poached to Kenya.
Now, unlike Rwanda, where you can say that, my mother is from here, now you're truly
a foreigner.
The rules that you had kind of learned from Ugandan radio, Rwandan radio, now they've changed. It's a totally different market. What is the biggest surprise?
The biggest surprise I found in Kenya was the work ethic. Or should I say, the man-eat-man mentality. Rwanda is, again, 2004, radio has just started, pretty decently laid back. Uganda has always been laid back. That's who we are as a people. We're not in a rush to do anything. Kenya, on the other hand, was complete culture shock for me. The way in which and I didn't realize this when the day I got, because I went in now not as a boss, but as on-air talent.
Okay.
And
why would you do that? Weren't you quite comfortable back home?
I was. But remember, in Uganda, I was also on-air talent. I wasn't in management. I only moved to management when I went to Rwanda. Now, the beauty about it is that Rwandan radio and Ugandan radio were nowhere near Kenyan radio in terms of experience.
Yes.
So the way I thought about it was, I'm going to learn. And boy, did I learn. Oof.
That's super brave, because a lot of people, one of the things that in my experience, you can get comfortable being
easily
a big fish in a very small pond.
Very small pond. Very easily.
And not only do you get comfortable, it's pretty nice.
Yeah, you're a household name.
Yeah.
You're good. The pay is decent, everything is fine. Why would I want to go and be a nobody in a big town like Kenya? Good question.
Why?
I wanted to learn. I said, if this is the direction we're going to take with this life of ours, let me go to the big boys and see if we can make it with the big boys. So it's a challenge to yourself. Let me go and be a small fish in the big pond and we see what happens. And once you get over the culture shock of the work ethic and you start to think like a Kenyan.
Talk me through this work ethic. I've always heard about it. What exactly are they doing differently from us?
So the way Kenyans work, first of all, I'm going to give you the context of media, then I give you the context of what I think generally about Kenyans. So context for media is they give, Ugandans and Rwandans would allow you to get into your
group,
your skin, get into your mood, get into your vibe. But they're like, hey, boss, the guy is 1 week old. Give him time. You're there, you're stammering, the words are getting stuck, you're not saying it right, you're making English grammatical mistakes, the joke is not funny, nothing is working. Uganda and Rwanda will allow you to move on. They'll even give you a month, sometimes even 2. In Kenya, you get a week, max. And immediately you get feedback. Especially
on radio.
And especially if they know you're not Kenyan. So it's double sword. They're saying, first of all, they have brought a Ugandan. Secondly, the guy doesn't even know how to speak.
What is this English?
What is this English? So luckily for me is, like you, I don't have a typical Ugandan accent. We speak proper normal English, which is fine. Luckily for me as well is I understood Swahili. So I quickly blended in my Swa and I didn't sound foreign anymore. Then now you have to get into putting in the work to understanding how a Kenyan thinks. So now every day after the show, you go and sit in a bar and hang with Kenyans and you're doing nothing but listening. Nobody at that point understands you are on research. You're on fact-finding missions. And what you're trying to figure out is the training that I talked about from the beginning. What makes this guy tick? What are the things that piss him off? What are the things that make him happy? Does he like his meat with sauce? No, he doesn't. What kind of chicks does he like? Is he interested in sports? Does he complain about the weather? All that is what I'm trying to internalize. Why? Because I'm trying to find out, who is this guy?
Walk me through this. So let's create a Ugandan, Rwandan, and Kenyan audience. Paint a picture. What are the similarities? What are the differences?
Rwandan might have changed by then, but I'll give it anyway, because that was when radio just started, so maybe I didn't get a chance to do it properly, but I'll give you the differences. A Rwandan is mostly very reserved. I will tell you honestly what you need to hear. There are very many things that I will say, that I will think, that I won't say. I will hear about you, Sunny, okay. Sunny, I might even say you have a nice shirt, but we'll stop there. I won't ask who did it, I won't ask where you got it from, I won't ask da. That's enough. If I see you with a beautiful girl, as hell won't say anything. I'll just leave it at that. So mostly very reserved, unless you really get to know the guy. Then they'll be like, I'll open up more and I'll be more open about the things that I want to tell you or are affecting me. And again, maybe it's because of the nature of the nation, maybe it's the history, maybe it's again.
And how does that then, as a radio performer, as a person speaking to that audience, how do you then tailor a message to that kind of person?
You see, at the end of the day, I know you're thinking it. I know you just can't say it. But I know you're thinking it. Why? Because when we step aside away from a group of 10 people in the bar or in the restaurant, you tell it to me. Because now you trust me. So now I know this is where actually the guy's mind is. And this is what he thinks of this situation. This is where his head is at. But he just can't say it in people. So I'll be his voice. And you will see half the time, says, yeah, he knows why. Yeah, finished. Now, in come a Ugandan, who, for the most part, are all about the good life. Now, the good life is, I want the nice things in my life around me.
Define a good thing.
It's what we call today a vibe.
Walk me through that.
So more often than not, it's easier to talk to Ugandan, and I'm talking about generic urban Ugandan. So I don't want the guys who talk serious things to be offended. Your general urban 27, 28-year-old Ugandan, if in a day we're going to have a conversation, let's say we're going to talk for 6 hours, your ordinary guy would want to talk about social happenings for more than half of that time.
So you're talking about
social. So it's the nightlife, it's the girls, it's the sports, it's the non-serious stuff. When we get to serious stuff, yeah, we'll do it and we'll talk about it and we'll get to the point and move on quickly. Says anyway, so is business done? What are we doing? Where are we going? What's happening? Where is happening? What are we doing? We have finished work, right? Yeah. Strictly, let's move on. Even if I've met you today, which that openness you will not find with a Rwandan. They cannot. Again, my opinion. Now in come the Kenyan, who from get-go, I want to discuss how we are going to make money. Aggressively, we have to move from here to Bujesera now, we go. Why? Because there's a deal, let's go. If you take an aerial view, and we didn't have drones at the time, but if you take a drone picture of city center, Kigali city center, Kampala city center, Nairobi, it'll depict a very clear picture of what I've just said. In Nairobi, guys will literally run you over while walking. In Kampala, they will walk equally fast, but there's the decency to say, fast. Can I pass?
Yes.
Yeah, let me pass. In Rwanda, I'm talking about the time I was there, we're not in a rush. We'll actually be very comfortable walking, But then again, like, it's almost 20 years ago. So the trade wasn't as heavy then at the time. I'm sure now if you go there, because you'll also find there's very many people who have come to Rwanda, it's a lot more aggressive, you understand? But that aerial view depicts everything I just said. One is super aggressive, male and female, for the record, that's Kenya. Uganda is smack bang in the middle, Rwanda not yet. That was then. Today, it probably might meet, like the difference in percentages, maybe not so much. I think if you're to go to Remera downtown, you will find people who are as aggressive as they are in Kisenyi, as they are in Moi Avenue. You probably will find those people. But the general understanding, to answer your question, of the three differences in those people was level of aggression, level of hunger, level of need, level of go-getting attitude. The similarities was, I think, generally across East Africa, I think most of us still have what I like to call Ubuntu. Maybe in Kenya, they might be losing it a bit, but at least I know in Rwanda and Uganda, Ubuntu is still there. So I might, whether or not I actually do care, but I might actually appear to care about your well-being. So whether it's fake, forged, false, pretentious, I don't know. But at least I know it's still there. Kenyan, because of their aggression, sometimes you feel that the Ubuntu is going. Sometimes.
Yeah. There's, when we talk about the East African dream, you know, your president, you call him His Excellency. Okay. His Excellency, Yoweri Museveni, loves to talk about, you know, this dream of a federal East Africa, the Federation of East African States, which is not a terrible dream to have. But even around issues of free movement of goods and labor, it's still been quite a bit of a problem. Interestingly enough, you've been almost able to beat that system. You know,
I've moved freely,
very free. And maybe it's a political question, but how were you able to live your dream so easily, you know? And when you see, you know, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, no problem, you know, where you were saying, I want to learn, okay, let me go here. That's not many people's experience. You know, you'll find Ugandan traders in South Sudan being
harassed and
murdered. You'll see, I think I saw something in Kenya during the elections last time. They literally burnt the Ugandan consulate.
Yeah.
And then that's so this dream that the politicians are talking about, this dream of free movement of labor and this and that, and is that fundamentally a pipe dream?
So first of all, it was not as easy as I made it seem.
Walk us
That's
through
number
that.
one. Rwanda was very easy. I think it's partly because I've Rwandan blood. There was not a problem. Kenya was complicated. Like I said, they're very competitive people. It just so happened.
So walk us through that, the actual process.
So getting there, you still have to get a work permit. And this was back in the day when you had to pay for the work permit. Now you don't have to pay for it, but you still have to get it. And it was I think a lot of money, but the guy I was working for, who is the late Chris Kirubi, pretty well connected. And he did all of that for me. And it was still a big process because they said, why are we getting a Ugandan to work on our radio station. Like, we don't have Kenyans who can do that here. So that's always the work permit issue. You only get a foreigner if you have advertised locally and you can't get somebody. It doesn't matter which field you're in. Say, we'll only get an engineer to do oil because we have failed to find a local who can do it. So here is a guy who said, we don't have Kenyans who can talk on radio. What nonsense is this?
Just talking.
Just talking, surely. They said, no, this guy's skill set, we don't have it. We have looked, we don't have it. By the time we're getting somebody from another country, we actually don't have this skill set. And that became another war on its own. Luckily, the man with his heavy connections, may he rest well, managed to talk to who he needed to talk to, pay, and I can't remember how much it was, but I know it was a lot of money to get that work permit. And he paid it. And after paying it, he told me, Marcus, this is how much I've paid for you.
He showed it to you?
Yeah. And said, if this money doesn't come back, we're in trouble. And I said...
How does that make you feel?
Important, but again, pressure. It's good to know that somebody's willing to invest this kind of money in you, but again, the pressure is on now. Like, we must find a way.
How old are you at this point?
20...
About 2007?
Yeah, thereabout. 26, 25 there. Thereabout.
That's how old you were?
Then at the time. Yeah, so it was 6 there. Because I was also an integral part of that post-election violence drama. I was already on radio and it was already a big deal. And by that time, the Kenyans loved me. They didn't even know I was Ugandan anymore. And anyway, I'll get to that story later. So the beginning part was actually not rosy. And even after 4 years with this particular employer, and you move to another employer within Kenya, one guy is going to come and say, but has he renewed his work permit? It was supposed to be renewed every year.
Yes.
And it became a whole thing of, first of all, we were told that he has, because now I was nobody could tell I was Ugandan. Because I sounded Kenyan, I spoke the language well, everybody knew for sure this guy is one of us. So the audience had bought in to whatever I was
saying. And you probably called yourself Marcus.
Yes, and I was Marcus.
So the Kwikiriza was
nobody knew about Kwikiriza's name.
Yes.
So Marcus is the guy they knew. Marcus is the guy who was at every function. Marcus was a household name in Kenya. Kudos to you. Now, you have to switch stations. And then one guy says, but let's check. I think he has a Kenyan national ID.
Who's one guy?
A guy there who's trying to kill the deal.
From what side?
Yeah, from the guy of the old radio station that are moving to the new one. Trying to kill this.
So he's trying to figure out how to get you to stay.
Because it says, we have already disagreed with the boss. I'm moving. I've already got a different offer, more money. He's trying to make sure that they can't get him. If I don't have him, let him go back to Uganda. Then there's a whole process of, no, he might even have a fake ID. Let's check. They check. There's nothing. I'm told I was not even at home. Some people went to my house. We have been told that this man has a fake ID.
Which people? Let's say you're going very fast. Which people go to your house?
Police.
And they're looking for you because?
Because they're looking for me so that I can verify that I have a Kenyan national ID.
And
So I wasn't home at the time.
If you are trying your best to raise healthy children, but feel like you need clear, trustworthy advice, Healthy Beginnings podcast, hosted by Dr. Edgar Kalimba, is for you. With over a decade of experience caring for children and supporting the parents raising them, Dr. Edgar Kalimba shares practical knowledge grounded in science, but rooted in the lived experience of Africans. Out every Monday, Healthy Beginnings with Dr. Edgar Kalimba is on YouTube and all major audio platforms.
This podcast is brought to you by LF Media, home of great African podcasts.
Hey, if you're tired of working hard, but never getting ahead financially, you need to start listening to the Money Blueprint podcast, hosted by Isaac Musi. The Money Blueprint podcast isn't a get-rich-quick show. Isaac Musi, an expert in financial literacy with over 15 years of experience, shares practical tools that help you build discipline, make better decisions, and create real wealth. Out every Monday, the Money Blueprint podcast with Isaac Musi is on YouTube and all major audio platforms.
This podcast is brought to you by LF Media, home of great African podcasts.
And so people who don't understand this, so in Rwanda, There's two IDs. There's the foreign residence ID. There's the Ndangamuntu, which belongs to.
Yeah.
So when you talk about
We're talking about the Ndangamuntu, the national ID of Kenya.
So you actually had the national.
Kitambulisho. I didn't.
Oh,
but that's the story that they were projecting. That this guy, first of all, is operating on 2 nationalities. He has a Kenyan ID, the original one. I said, me, from where are you people? Said, no, we need to check. Luckily, the people who were home knew their rights and says, no, until you come back here with a warrant, there's no such thing. So I come back home and they're like, there were 3 guys here today asking for your national ID. I said, which national ID? They said, Kitambulisho ya Kenya, iko wapi? I said, what are you talking about?
But why wouldn't they just go to the Ministry of
because they figured that it was fake.
Oh.
So they thought I had faked one.
They thought that you had a counterfeit national ID.
So I said, guys, please, there's no such thing. I went myself to the people of registration. I said, I don't know where this has come from. I have no such thing. Because my new employer now said, let's clear the air. What's this about? So we went through that process again now of getting a work permit. And then I said, guys, here's my work permit with my passport. This is what I use to travel. This is what I use to show that I am a resident in this country, here. So we went through that phase. So to your point, it hasn't been free movement. We went through the phases and somehow you managed to stick through it and succeed. Now, to your initial question is this a pipe dream? There's no easy way for this to eventually become a success story. Because like I said earlier, the Ugandan will subconsciously be Ugandan. I will not wake up one morning and I am this East African. I am Ugandan first. And my biggest challenge from a political standpoint was they were having boardroom discussions, but it was never cascading to the offices that matter. Because even when the work permit issue was removed, and say, guys, we have worked out that Ugandans can work in Kenya, Kenyans in Uganda, Tanzania, and Rwanda, and there's no work permit, you just have to go through the process, but don't pay for it. That never reached the immigration desk. It took forever to reach there. By the time you get there and say, guys, they removed this thing. They said, who? So the document was signed by the 3 presidents. They haven't told us. You know what I mean? So boardroom meetings were happening. It's not cascading down. The people who actually implement this stuff have no idea what you guys are talking about. By the time it eventually happens, 2 years have passed. There's a couple of people here who could have moved and worked in different places, but it's just too murky. Now, eventually it happened. You can work, I think, these days without a work permit. It's not a big deal. You still have to go through the process. I don't know if it can get to the point where a mechanic can come and work, a Kenyan mechanic, or a Ugandan nurse can go and work in a hospital, away from the corporate ladder, away from a GM, an MD of a bank coming here to work, away from those. But let's go down to the white collar jobs. Can they come? Can a mechanic come? Can a carpenter come? Can a nurse go? Have we reached that level? I don't know. Do I still think it's something that should happen? I am 100% for the East African dream. I think we are better together than apart, especially for trade and numbers. Once you increase our market pool, everybody will win.
And you'd think that would make perfect sense, right? Rwanda has a population of about 14 million people. Uganda, plus 50, give or take.
49, 52, give or take.
And what, Kenya, 70?
Yeah, they're also about 60 something now.
Right, so that's a major, that's a block.
That's a combined effort of 120 people.
But then,
and that's minus DRC, minus South Sudan who have joined. DRC alone, if DRC comes, we're in 200 million.
Yeah, DRC.
Now, we're trading in 200 million. And what is Nigeria's biggest strength over us? Their numbers.
Or not just their numbers. I think it's also...
their spending power.
No, just the identity of being a Nigerian, right? So we've talked about the challenges that you were getting. You know, who's this guy? No, when we talk about xenophobia in Africa and seeing others as others and not yourselves, we always think, oh, it's these South Africans. They They think they're better than us. But it's in every
there.
civil society.
Yes, and you're right. Some smaller than others.
Mm.
The South Africans are just louder about it, and they openly tell you they don't like you. But it's quiet. It's quiet. It's there, but I don't think it'll. I don't think it's an if everybody if majority are benefiting, the anger reduces. I think it's bad in South Africa because those eating are few. The ones who are not benefiting, who think that they're entitled to benefit, are the majority. So they'll kill you for it.
Yeah.
But if everybody is getting cheaper maize that's coming from Kenya, everybody wins, which means my cost of my posho is down. In Rwanda, in Uganda. If the pineapple which is coming from Uganda is going across and it's cheaper than what you're getting and it's nice, everybody wins.
But the elites who control these economies enjoy their monopoly. I mean, right now, I think I was just looking at, I was reading the East African a few months back, and there's a major problem between Kenya and Uganda. Ugandans had all these eggs, all this milk, can't go across.
Can't move across. That's
right?
That's part of the problem.
Right now in Rwanda, for those who love Uganda Waraji,
can't come. I still don't know
Right.
why. I still don't know why though. Yet
Listen.
all other drinks are there. All others. So I don't understand what the real issue with Uganda Waraji is.
that's those are the political.
Yeah.
Because there's the idea, federal, East African community, and then there is
What's actually on the ground.
Yeah.
And I agree with you, Sunny. It's not something that will be fixed like everybody's going to get it. No. When you're entering my business as a pineapple producer in Kenya and you're bringing for me a sweeter, cheaper pineapple from Uganda, for sure I'm going to do everything in my power to block you.
Yeah.
Because you're eating into my market space. Okay? Yet it might actually be easier for you to buy the pineapple from me and your juice still lands cheaper in Kenya.
Yeah.
But are they going to think about it this way? Maybe not. However, I believe that sooner rather than later, with the same political will, as long as the people in those seats are not directly involved in the trade, where there's no president who
owns Brookside.
who owns a milk industry. For as long as that's not the case, or who owns De La Monte, then we shall get somewhere.
Let's talk about, so you've mentioned something about your on-air presence when Kenya was going through its issues in 2008. You started this conversation talking about what you had to learn about genocide and the power of radio and hate radio in pushing hate messaging. Now, everything that you learned about the power of radio and the power of hate. Now it's like you're in a university. You're reading
revising.
about this. Now you are revising. You find yourself in.
And please note, I was
Kenya.
dealing with a room full of CEOs because I put together a whole team that's going to try and manage the messaging across the country.
But let's even before that. You probably watched things go down, things happen in real time.
100%.
You were on radio.
I was on radio.
Walk us through how you see the temperature get hotter and hotter. And what are you thinking? Are you seeing, based off of the revision you had done in Rwanda, are you seeing genocide start getting
tendencies?
Are you seeing that?
100%. So, and I was telling my Kenyan friends this when this stuff was beginning. I said, guys, I am from a country where guys literally almost finished each other.
When you say guys, when it's beginning, walk us.
Tell us about
that.
So the election results come out, and of course, politicians lead the way by saying these things are false. Now, luckily for me, I had already understood that Kenya was very tribal, a lot more tribal than most people, and there were like 4 or 5 big tribes, not like Rwanda where there were 2 guys and they were speaking the same language. No, there were 4 main players in this operation: Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luo, Luya. Those are the 4 main ones. These other guys were coming in as, by the way, being picked by these other groups. And you could see all 4 leaders in their respective tribal categories start off small. But this guy has 1, but us, we don't agree. Then gets his other guy from another tribe. Do you agree? No, we don't. This is it. And if you guys don't recount, we're going to ban this country. And when you hear a leader say this, we're not going to allow, everything is going to go to shambles. And the speed in which that statement translates to action on the ground is under 20 minutes. Gee.
And what are
From the time he said it to the time tires are being burnt in the roadblocks.
So where is he saying this?
On behalf of, in his car, in a market.
So there's no mass media at this point?
No. But we are the media, we're covering him.
And so therefore you're amplifying.
So all we
the
said
messaging.
is, can you imagine this guy said he's going to do this? But by that time, the people, the guys who are his runaround people or his stooges or his support cast have kicked off. They've already gone. They've already started burning in the middle of the road. Now, burning in the middle of the road in an election in Africa is not something new. We see it all the time. So it's like, guys, they're going to do that. It's not going to be a big problem. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Then you just see it escalating. The next thing you know, they're in people's homes. The next thing you know, it's every road. The next thing you know, they're asking people to stay home.
But you still have to go to work.
I still have to go to work. So put a big sticker and a permission to move and say, media. So even when you're passing, you can even tell them, hey, tuko pamoja, jo, usijali, toop. You go to work. Then I sit down with my people and I say, guys, this movie, I've seen it before. I wasn't there, but I know how this ends.
And you were literally telling your colleagues.
And I'm telling my colleagues, guys, I have seen how this movie ends. And it's not nice.
And what do your colleagues say?
They're like, Marcus, you know Kenyans, we're just here to make some noise. It will all end. 1 week, 2 weeks. By the 3rd week, I think it was end of the month, if I remember the dates correctly, is when people started taking this stuff seriously. And said, guys, people are dying. There's an actual hatred now between Kikuyus and Luos. Like it's clear. Kikuyus and Kalenjins. Luos and... I said, you guys, this is history repeating itself. You have not learned from a neighboring country? How are you guys okay with this?
And are you saying this to the boardroom?
No. Right now, I'm just talking to my
radio?
peers.
Those are the
This is my peers. I'm telling my
presenters.
fellow presenters, my fellow bosses, I'm like, guys, I honestly think as media, we need to either A, stop reporting this stuff, or B, change what we are saying. Because if we keep saying that 5 Kikuyus were yesterday
killed
by Luos the other time, this is just going to make matters worse. Because Kikuyus are going to retaliate in the morning. No more procedure. You killed my people, I'm going to kill yours. Standard operating procedure.
Why didn't people understand that? Again,
it's number one, you think it will never escalate to that. Number two is you think that they're the ones who started it. So I'm not going to sit by and do nothing.
And in the newsroom, there are probably people from all these communities.
All these people. And you can see the tensions even in the newsroom.
Yeah.
Between a Luo reporter, Kalenjin, you can see it, but they have to do their job. But then if one guy is going to talk about more that the Kikuyus were killed and therefore they are going to retaliate, that will be the story he will run because that's his job now. So you can just see the whole thing becoming a mess. So luckily, I think a group of CEOs, I think it was 5 of them in the biggest companies, Bidco, Safaricom, I can't remember the others, came together, plus the media bosses, came together and then said, guys, let's put together the biggest communication heads we have in this country right now and change this narrative.
Yeah.
And that's how I was brought into the room. And then we had to sit down. And now when I was in that room...
So who's in the room?
Again, CEO of Bidco, CEO of Safaricom, CEO of Nation Media, CEO of Standard Group, CEO of Royal Citizen, CEO, I think there were 4 other main companies, and then all influential media personalities. Everybody who Kenyans listen to in both English and Kiswahili.
Who convenes that meeting?
The guy who convened the meeting was, I think it was, like I said, it was about 3 CEOs. The Bidco guy, Nation Media at the time, and I think Safaricom. Because now Safaricom had even started those things of let's send money to families that are suffering. Let's collect money as Kenyans for people whose houses have been burned down. I said, but guys, this starts and stops with what media talks about. Because if we're going to report everything verbatim to the masses, and the guy who was at home seated and he just found out that so-and-so killed so-and-so, I might wake up tomorrow and also join that riot. It was not in my plan. I was sitting at home minding my business. But now I have a reason to wake up. So they convened the meeting. We sat down, brainstormed. In that meeting, I remember mentioning it categorically. I said, guys, please take this meeting with the seriousness it deserves. Because as somebody who has been part and parcel of what a genocide looks like, it's going to take Kenya no less than 15 years to get past this otherwise small manageable stuff. And I said, but Marcus, how do you know? Then I tell them my story. And at that point, remember, everybody thought I was Kenyan. So they said, Marcus, you're all alone, you're half Rwanda. And you worked in Rwanda before. I said, yeah. And I was there when Rwanda was celebrating 10 years, and I saw what that had done to them. And this is 10 years later. So guys, please take this stuff seriously. And we did. We did a 1-month campaign. Everything stopped. That's how all these international meetings started happening. Handshakes started happening. Everything went calm down. But we had to change the narrative from there. And to your point earlier of, at that point, do you question, are you now wondering, I thought I knew Kenyans. You know how I asked myself when I was in Rwanda, that I thought I knew Rwandans? Then you hear the stories and you're like, I actually don't know these people. Same thing happened then. I said, I thought I knew these guys. Then you realize you don't. Luckily, I had training from Rwanda. So I figured, you know what? Human beings are a complicated species. We just need a reason to go left field. And maybe any one of us could go. I'm not saying it's a Kenya problem. I'm not saying it's a Rwanda problem. I'm saying maybe given the right motivation, I could be the guy next door doing something. Why? Because you messed up with my people. So somebody just needs to say the right thing to me at the right time with the right context. And maybe I'll be the one to go. That's why the whole messaging had to change.
You know, what you're talking about, media, personalities, corporate businesses coming together to actually figure out, okay, we're in this mess. Let us create a new narrative. I don't know if it can exist in today's world because all of them were what we call in media gatekeepers.
Yeah.
Right? If that was a time when...
and this was before social media. Terrestrial was all you had.
Right. So 2008, there's not even... there's barely any Facebook.
Yeah.
Maybe I remember High Five.
Yeah, maybe High Five.
But there was not that.
Hotmail, Yahoo.
Yes, and that's how people. So radio was the way people engaged. Radio talk shows was the
radio
way
and
people
TV.
spoke to other people. When you think about the power of that room, that this by what we did, the decisions we made in that room, were able to reduce the flame that was tearing Kenya apart. If something was like that was to occur again in the world that we live in now, where everything is extremely fragmented, where TikTokers own the streets, the way Kiss FM used to own the streets in Kenya, who then
switches off,
reduces the heat?
That will be a challenge for sure in today's world. And if you realize the best countries at managing what comes out of their nations are countries where there's no complete freedom of expression. It's there and it's on paper and you can talk and you can, but there are times when they'll start switching you off, especially if you're going to show their country in bad light, whether or not what you're saying is true. So I think we have reached a point where it's on governments to take this part up, because Sani can do what he wants today, so can he, so can you, so can I. I've been given the freedom to do it, which includes and not limited to videoing you guys burn each other. Now, what would have been the right thing to do at that point? Call police, figure out a solution. Why are they burning each other? Separate them, Stop the escalation of this stuff. That's the right and moral thing to do. Who did what at that point? Let's first stop it. What do we do these days? Wait for them until both of them are dead and burnt to ashes. Recording, then post.
It's good content.
Again.
And now that it's also monetized.
So you see my point. Now, because, and I'm not even thinking about whether or not I'm going to get money from it. I just know that it's going to get me the necessary following, views, and etc. that I like. But what should you have done at that point? What's the noble, right, moral thing to do when you see two guys almost finishing each other? Either call the people who can, if you can't stop it yourself, call people, call the police, call whoever to stop the escalation. What we're doing right now is, and I'll even show my face. Again, why? Because it's the cool thing to do now. Anybody can do that. So how do we stop? How do I convince you that, Sonny, what you're doing is wrong? You're not going to listen to me. You're like, Marcus, get off your high horse. This is what we do these days. There's nothing you're going to do about it. Yeah, it's content. And content is across the board. Now, whose responsibility is it now to manage that content flow? The negative part of content creation. Because like everything else, there's positive and negative. And sadly, negative sells more, like everything else in media. Bad headline is going to do 10 times better than a good headline. Even back in the day when all we had was print. If you saw a picture of a dead guy, and then there would be a word in Uganda say, Bamuse, which is they have killed him. And there's another one that says, we have built a railway. Tell me which paper will sell.
Earlier this year in Uganda, because it goes back to that what we're just talking about, which is who is in charge of maintaining state stability, because that's fundamentally what it is. Now, one of the things that happened that was quite controversial was the shutdown of the internet.
The internet.
Now, you know, you probably are able to help us understand the how and the why. Was there, because we've seen, okay, Rwanda, there was genocide because of the media. In Kenya, it was a hop, skip, and a jump away from
it.
From being a genocide.
Post-election violence is two moves away from
that.
Genocide.
Now, was there an actual threat? Because as a Rwandan watching all of this, some could have said, you know, it's a bit of, it's overkill. There's nothing to really, there's no need for this. But you've lived in all these societies. You've literally participated in quelling a genocide in the making. Do you think that shutting down the internet during these elections that pitted Yoweri Museveni and Kyagulanyi, Bobi Wine, was necessary? Do you think it was necessary?
Yes.
Really?
Here's why. The Kenyans never thought it would get that far. I can't say the same for the Rwandans, but I think they probably thought that after Habyarimana's plane went down and the radio stations did what they were doing, they probably thought we were going to be done with this thing for 10 days. Although the message had been going around, but nobody knew it was going to get to 1 million people dead in 100 days.
And I think at some level, Rwandans, before the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, they had gotten used to a few dead bodies here and there.
Yeah,
this is part of the political process.
It's part of how we're going to get to where we want to get to. Now, you have to ask yourself, is this a chance you're willing to take? Do we want to figure out whether or not wait and see if this will get that bad? Or do we nip it in the bud early? Now, this is a decision you have to make as a leader of a country.
But you, as someone who lived here during those times and probably had a good understanding of the zeitgeist, did you see the little ingredients in the society just before the election?
So every once in a while, you will hear a guy tell you, but he's a border guy, and then he will tell you in Uganda, you Banyakore one day are going to go back to your homes.
And he's telling you.
He's telling me.
No,
he's passing by me. I'm not even with him.
Walk me through this. Are you in a car?
No, I'm walking.
So you're walking.
So I'm walking and I tell the guy, say Uganda. When I'm telling the guy, boss, I will go, I want to cross.
Yes.
Say Uganda. Then the guy looks at me, looks at my structure and says, he goes.
One day, you
Banyankole are going to go back.
You'll return.
Yeah, you'll return to your homes and leave us in our Kampala. Now, you'll listen to that, you'll rubbish it, because there will be these people around for whatever reason. They're angry at everybody but themselves about what's going on in their lives. So, and they believe that the people right now I should blame are these people in power. It happened when Obote was in power. They blamed the people from the north. etc. It's life. It's a cycle of leadership. If you go to Kenya, they'll tell you the Kalenjins were tired of them during the Kikuyus. It happens. It's just what it is. Now, the question you have to ask yourself is, have we reached a point where there's enough critical mass for this to become a problem? And by critical mass, it just needs to start. And I say this as somebody who saw it just starting and then become a bushfire right before our eyes.
But then one incident that was, you could call it, you can't even call it xenophobia. What do you call it?
Yeah.
Tribalist?
Yeah. Tribalist,
yeah,
whichever. Yeah.
That does not make, an incident does not genocide make.
True.
So why do you think then that there were...
But some incidents put together will lead to that eventually. One won't. But if you...
Had you witnessed anything else?
No, personally, no. I will not say that. I have not said that I have.
Family members?
But
friends?
Not firsthand. People talk in social gatherings, and you will hear all these kind of things. They're like, these guys, by the way, they are planning for you guys. I don't have it.
What do you mean?
These people that allegedly the NOOP management has put together. They are planning for you guys, and you guys meaning you guys in power. And by in power, they mean everybody who looks like a Munyankore. So you who looks like a Mutoro, you're fall under that group. You who looks like a Mnyarwanda, you are in that group. You who looks like a Mufumbira, Mwes. So you ask, but again, it's not something I can speak with authority that I know for. I'm not in the security offices apparatus. I cannot speak with authority on the fact that I know for a fact that this was being planned. No, I don't. And
but there were rumors of
But again, social gatherings, you hear that, we're hearing things are being discussed. Now, the truth is, you get to a point where you ask yourself, the cost benefit of shutting down the internet for 5 days or a week and a half, vis-a-vis, assuming, again, not with authority, but they probably have the numbers, so I'm not a security person. The numbers of trying to coil this 1, 2, 6, 7 incidents when people were left to do what they want in the way they want. The cost benefit of coiling this, if it has grown, God forbid, versus a week and a half versus of no internet. If you think about it, life, cost, products, goods, services, blah, blah, blah. Here, the only thing we are going to suffer from is guys who make money off the net. But
I mean, that's a lot of people.
It's a lot of people, but majority are TikTokers. They just want to chill, and they're scrolling. The ones who are actually doing content, and even again, which content we're going to do? Was it going to fall in this category or not? So when you do the cost-benefit analysis, you have to ask yourself, where's the real loss? These guys are not going to die of 1 week of no internet. They're not going to lose their lives. Here, left to their own devices, who knows what can happen? Whether it's security reacting to an idiot, or these guys taking over security. And we have seen many of those. One guy, security guy, doing what he thinks is right. Another guy going at the security guy. All these guys left to their own devices to do what they want, just because we want this guy to do content. Is it worth it? Cost-benefit analysis, is it worth it? That's the question you ask yourself.
Well, I guess the question then becomes, you're a media practitioner, or were. Where does that leave a citizen's right to information? And what does that mean for press freedom? If the new media is the citizen journalist, but at any moment, the state can wake up and say, one of the things that you always hear about Uganda when they're discussing Uganda vis-a-vis Rwanda, the one word that is often used is freedom. We have freedom.
Uganda has freedom.
Yes.
Which mostly you do. We do.
But then what does that mean when
you see
fundamentally the freedom can be
as somebody who is a journalism major, there's a code of ethics that we go through. It's like saying we're going to allow anybody who can do a C-section to do it, who thinks they know how to do a C-section to do it. Why? Because it is citizen doctoring. But there's a way in which journalism is supposed to be done. Now, citizen journalism does not have guidelines. Everybody does what they want, when they want to, how they want to. Now, in your opinion, as somebody who has also studied this art, should that be left to that?
I don't know. I don't know who gets to pick and choose.
Again, your job is to report. Journalism is about report, inform, etc., etc. But if you don't have the intellect to know that this is going to do more harm than good, and evidently from what I am seeing, the harm is what will get me more followers. The harm is what I'm going to promote, not even the good. I once interviewed a kid, a young blogger, and I asked him.
Do you remember his name?
No. It was on my show, the show that I have with Gaetano. And we asked the guy, I said, but you guys, why are you guys so because my question to him was, you'll see a very nice post, and this is the time when it was still called Twitter. And it's a very informative post by somebody who it's their job to post such stuff. Uganda's GDP has grown by 2.5%. Rwanda's has gone by 6%, blah, blah, blah. A sensible post. And then I asked him, and this was when it was still 140 characters, when you are limited to how much you could write. And I asked him, when you see a post like this, what goes through your mind? Maybe that guy was not even 20, but he was a blogger and a content creator. He says, when I see numbers, I don't care. I go to the comments. I said, why? Because I'm looking for petty. Then he gave me the statement that made me understand everything of social media. Petty is the new cool. I want you to internalize that statement, Sunny. Then you realize the kind of people we're dealing with.
You know what? Let me push back. Now, when I started this podcast 4 years ago, 2023, a lot of people told me that this would not work. This format would not work. That people are not able to consume
intellectual long content.
But here's what the majority of my audience is between 25 and 35, right? There's actually a lot of young people
who want this,
who enjoy it. And I'm able to see, unlike radio, I'm able to see the analytics. I can see the sex, I can see where they're coming from, I can even see the devices they use. And so this idea that we keep, it's a narrative that I feel we've overused and said, these young people are not able to consume good content. Maybe they look through the lies. Maybe those statistics are just statistics, but the comments are people's lived experiences in these economies. You know, so maybe we should give young people
a chance,
a break.
I'm not disputing that, and it was not a stab at everybody. He's the one who told me that statement.
Yeah.
I didn't beat it out of him. He's the one who said.
I try to understand what does that statement fundamentally mean.
Petty is the new cool. In other words, the way I understood it anyway, is we are not going to spend too much time on the serious stuff. We have more fun with the nonsense. Now, that's not to say that a Sunny podcast is not going to be informative and therefore I will watch it. But if I watch 15 podcasts a day, and that's my new source of information, I'll watch Sunny. Why? Because I like what Sunny does and I like how he does his job. Okay? All the other 14, what are they about? And I'm not saying that that's what's happening. I'm just saying that from what we are, again, I was able to start with Kin, this radio station, and here. And when we were doing our research on what we want to do, and we're targeting an 18-year-old, and you do the research, and I sat down with Kin and we're brainstorming, and we want to do a nice radio station that is informative, gives these young people direction, gives them hope, gives them trajectory, gives them purpose. That's another word I realize that sometimes lacks in the young generation, purpose. And we're trying to do this together. And all our serious things, majority of it fell to deaf ears. They say, "Oh, I am ready vibe. Don't bring your stuff of seriousness. Where is the vibe? Bring a girl who is talking about how she dumped this guy, what, wait. This is feedback. Now, is it the sample size that we picked? Is it a Kampala problem? Is it a Uganda problem?
Maybe it might be a you problem.
Maybe it's a me problem.
Because and what I mean by this is, when people told me young people do not consume content, you need to make it maximum 20 minutes long, and they will not. You're not entertaining enough. I said, you know what? I'm going to do what I believe is right. My tribe will find me. I'm not going to move. Those who I'm speaking to will consume.
They will come.
And they will come.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys should have stuck to your guns.
Maybe. And maybe you're right. Maybe we moved too quickly. Maybe we shifted too quickly. We pivoted too quickly. Maybe that was the problem. But you see, when you're dealing in a very commercially viable industry and you need to make the money you have spent and you need to make it yesterday, the numbers have to add up. You don't have the luxury of waiting for my tribe to find me.
Yeah.
Why? Because our OPEX is monthly. It's not stopping. It costs money to do this stuff. So at some point you have to go to, where are these people? What do they want to hear? How do they want to hear it? What do we have to do it differently?
But then if you're saying that the audience is miseducated, and then what you decide is to further miseducate.
No. It wasn't further miseducated.
No, what I mean is, like you said, like you had to pivot.
Yeah, but the pivoting wasn't to change the content, it was change delivery style. So it's like you doing exactly what you're doing, but you're moving it from 2 hours to 45 minutes. And then you realize even 45 is high, I'll get more at 30. Again, you have not changed your content. You have not changed your direction. They've just realized attention span, smaller issue there, maybe not. But if you have the luxury of time and you say, guys, this is my cost, my pocket, relax, my tribe will find me. By all means. And they will find you. You're right. And there are people who have stuck their guns. Shaka Sal is an example. Everybody thought that what he was doing was going to die 1 million years ago. He stood the test of time in what we had all figured was boring, elitist. Nobody watches that stuff, and you'll be amazed at his viewership. Yes, it was a slightly older crowd. I don't know whether he ever got young people that listened to him. May he rest well. But my point is, there are people who decide, we are going to do this, and this is our plan.
Let's talk about radio, which is, I'll call it your first love. You know, you're talking about starting this new radio and the different things you had to do, and the OPEX and the CAPEX. And I look at radio and I wonder if it will live beyond this decade, the way it is today. I look at, I heard a podcaster say or tweet that in Uganda today, TikTok is, I don't know how many million, like it's almost 90% of the Ugandan population are on TikTok. Twitter, YouTube, not so much Facebook because
of our issues.
you know, how long do you think radio has before, as a medium, how long does it have before we say goodbye to it?
In Uganda, until internet penetration goes up to over 30%, or no, at least 50%, at least 50% of the population can access internet, radio is going nowhere. Radio is here to stay. And maybe not in the urban centers, but in the villages, it's going nowhere. It's still the major source of information. And even if I haven't looked at the data as of 2026 or 2025, but 2024, it's still corporate's biggest spend. Still radio. And that was at 54%.
But how does radio survive in... The one thing that I've always been able to do as someone who does stuff strictly on the internet is I have data. So I'm able to go to a corporate and say, okay, you should invest in me because
this is the number.
These are my numbers.
Radio has numbers.
No.
Oh yeah.
Fake news.
No.
Fake
No.
news.
I'm telling you now. No. Listen, whether it's doctored to a certain extent or not, the people who have been doing this research and the companies, I will not say their names because they haven't paid me, have done it for years. And they continue to give the numbers that radio will still win. And I will take those numbers and say, guys, here, I am still number one. I am still number one in radio. Now, if you're going to spend, so here's what's happening, what I think is happening. Again, I haven't looked at the numbers post-2024 and how corporates are spending, because at the end of the day, this is what boils down to. If corporates aren't spending, they'll shut down. Whether or not 1 million people are listening, if no one is spending money on the radio station, it will close. Radio is a medium that you do as you do other things.
What do you mean?
It's a passive medium. I listen to radio as I drive. I listen to radio as I wash my car. I listen to radio as I play a sport. I listen to radio as I do other things. Podcasts, TV, podcasts that are visual, like this, TV and internet, TikTok content, I must stop what I'm doing.
And you consume that.
And consume it. Radio is consumed passively. So it won't stop me from what I'm doing, which means I can consume it longer. I can drive from here to Mbarara, 3.5 hours consuming radio. If the frequency is fine, I can't do the same for content or if I'm driving. I can do it if I'm the passenger. I can do it if I am not the one driving and I'm just here, I'm in a taxi, fine. But if I'm the one driving and I want things my way, I'll put my favorite radio station and I'll drive from here to there. I'll do it while I wash clothes. I'll do it while I cook. I'll do it while I gym. I'll do it as these things are happening, which I can't do with content that is on the screen or on TV. So because of that passive nature of radio, that's why I said the people in the villages do it in the garden. They consume their knowledge.
It's interesting.
They'll do it as they ride a bicycle, as they go to the farm, as they go to the market, as they go. And in there is where they'll find the information and they'll say, by the way, in this market, they run out of tomatoes. Let me take their mine.
I guess the radio only exists and survives if handsets are cheap. If if handsets continue to be expensive and bundles continue to be expensive.
That's why I said until internet penetration is past 50%. And I'm talking about Uganda. I'm not talking about any other country.
So the what I'm seeing.
But you see, even in America, where internet penetration is, like at 90%, they still have radio.
Barely.
It's still there.
No, barely.
On FM.
If you
they,
see,
they just supplement it with online.
If you see where the sector that is swallowing up ad revenue, it's podcasts. Traditional media, like we're seeing the Washington Post recall all their foreign correspondents. The numbers don't work for that's and
print was the first one to die across the board. That one was the first one to
okay.
No one has that time to read a newspaper. That print has struggled for the better part of a decade.
So which one do you think dies after print, radio or television?
To be honest,
either way, they will die.
Yeah, they will. To be honest, I honestly thought TV, because of the expenditure, was going to die a long time ago. And because I don't live abroad, I don't have the numbers of what 15 years from today Uganda will look like, because we're going to be like them. Okay? For me to know this, to answer this question, I need to know what those guys are currently doing. And what they're currently doing, yes, there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of online content, and that's what they're consuming, because internet is almost dirt cheap. It's like air.
I think in maybe a decade from now, internet will be free.
It's possible.
I can imagine
with the Starlinks of this world. Maybe
no. Like right now in Rwanda, actually one of the things that I realized when I tried to buy bundles here, super expensive.
Yeah.
They're super. The internet here is still quite expensive here in Uganda.
Yeah.
But
it's going to change, but it will be slowly reducing, not by a country mile, which means
there'll still
be a bigger majority. Because remember, the people who we are saying, if you look at the smartphone penetration numbers, out of almost 51 million, I think we're on what, 12 million have smartphones?
Let the Chinese really do their thing. I can imagine a time when
we are about 20%.
15,000 shillings, you will be able to buy a smartphone. I think so.
Then the data must be 3,000. Then we shall get somewhere. Then the person in the village deep will consider this conversation that you and I are having. Otherwise, we are going to continue with my source of information. And remember, even Uganda, I think our let's for example, our fintech penetration is one of the lowest in the region. Fintechs have almost failed to pick up here. Now, mobile money is up and running and it was nice. But do you know how long it takes to penetrate? If you look at how quickly Rwanda did it and how quickly Safaricom did it. Why? Ugandans, first of all, we love cash. Money is here. Secondly, internet in their mind is full of thieves. Now you're saying, my money on the internet. Let me wait for cash. Eventually now we're good.
Yeah. The way you talk, you sound slightly political. And let's maybe talk about that. Last year, when I was doing research about you as a guest, there is a headline that I was slightly taken aback. I want to stand for a member of parliament. Aish. Were you serious? You wanted to...
No. What I said was I'm considering. And at the time I was considering it. And
Why? Because that's a...
Yeah.
By the time you're starting to think about this, you're thinking there's a problem and I could potentially be a solution.
Problem there is. And there's a genuine lack of... there's a genuine shortage, let me put it that way, of very good, capable representation in our parliament.
And you believe that?
I genuinely do.
Okay.
It's a shortage. I'm not saying they're not there. I'm saying they're there. But if you look
not enough of them.
Yeah. If you look at the ones who are actually making things happen, we can count them.
Yeah.
So I've always thought to myself that try and be part of the solution and not just sit on your phone and tweet and expect things to magically happen. So one morning I woke up and I said, but why don't I think about that? But I've never campaigned. I had never done anything. I just wanted to read the room. So I tweeted. I said, I'm genuinely thinking about it because that's where I come from. I said, and I know some people and I had talked to some people, that's it, but I'd never really campaigned or anything. So I said, let me just read the room.
You talked to some people about what?
Don't you think that, we need a young person to represent you here?
Who are you talking to?
People in the village at home, a church elder, a guy who has a shop in the village, a guy who has a taxi business, a guy who owns a petrol station. I said, don't you think that it's time? Just basic guys of the town.
And what did they tell you?
And they said, definitely. These guys have done nothing for us. They all complain. And I figured, okay, maybe they're buttering me up. Let's see. Then I tweeted. And that's how it got to where it went. But did I think about it? Yeah, I did. Then I realized it's a very...
What was the reaction to the tweet?
Good, actually. Well, I mean, for all of, I don't know how many comments, I've never deleted it, so you can go see for yourself. But the genuine interest of somebody who I guess they figured would bring, fresh ideas, fresh mindset, better way of executing things was interesting to the people that responded. Yeah. And I actually did, it was encouraging to know that, okay, evidently the need is there. Okay, so what we'll do is, maybe, if I'm serious, in these 5 years, we shall put in the work and maybe do it again in 5, because I'm still young, maybe we can do it. But again, I said, if we are serious, which we haven't decided yet.
Why aren't you serious? Right? You've said that there's a need.
Yeah.
In terms of the level of member of parliament. Back home, there's a need to get better services, as you found during your conversations with the population. I would argue that the best time is now.
I wouldn't disagree. And that's why I said, if I decide that this is the direction I'll take, we have 5 years to make this move a reality.
Why didn't you do it last time?
Because I started late. I didn't do it early. I put that tweet, I think it was 4 months to the elections. Very little you're going to do in 4 months. If I'm serious, we will start as soon as they swear in the guy, whoever it is now. And then we start the work on the ground.
Swear in the
Whoever the MP-elect is, then we'll start the work immediately after. And that's a decision that I will have to make, with everybody around, the people that matter. But so to answer your question, why am I not yet sure that this is what I want to do? Yes, there's a shortage of quality. Yes, the people at home need better services. Yes, but maybe they're quicker. Oh, so the problem number one is that process of running for MP is very murky and dirty. So I was asking myself, is being an MP the only way I can serve my country? Maybe not. Why? Because do I really want to get my hands this dirty? And I mean, it gets dirty. But away from the cost.
But I guess the question that becomes is, especially, and this is a conversation I have with what I call the Bazay on the other side in Rwanda. We say that politics is murky, or it's hard and it's uncomfortable, and do I really want to do this? And sometimes they look at me and say, but we literally went to war to have the rights to have this political process. All you have to do is be slightly uncomfortable. And if the angels don't want to go and roll in the mud, the devils will.
Fact. I am not going to dispute that. That's why I said, if you ask me now, are you going to do it? I'll tell you, I don't know. But these are the things that go through my head. Do I want to get this dirty? And then if the answers to those questions are such that, Marcus, get off your comfortable horse, go and get your hands dirty, and go and be a difference to your people. If that's the resounding answer that I get from myself, from my inner being, from my family, from my people who are on the ground, we will do it, because getting dirty has never been the issue. It's first of all, how dirty are we getting? And secondly, is it worth it? Is the sweat worth the reward? Then you ask yourself, you're like, fine. Is there another way I can help this government or help us get better as a people and as a leadership? Maybe. I'm sure they're there. Will I get the opportunity? Maybe not. So I'm back to, how do I help? What do I do to build my country? Let's go here.
No, I worry for the upcoming the political life of our nations if the best and brightest
find it too dirty to get involved. I agree with you 100%. And we have discussed this among our peers and said, guys, look at everybody who in our child growing up, just everybody who we're on campus with, everybody who we're in high school with. How many people who you know right now are CEOs here doing these excellent businessmen, completely switched on, are thinking about Uganda? Everybody's thinking about self. And then you'll be the first ones to complain that Uganda isn't working. Yeah. So I agree with you. It's something that we seriously need to consider. And that's when I thought about it. I'm like, but if we don't do it, because this age bracket that I am at ideally is, first of all, I think almost 15 years after the president became president, the current president became president. He became president 15 years before my current age. You know what I mean? And by then he had been in politics for 20. Going through all the things you're talking about, FRONASA, UNF, but for him, I think it was a calling. For, when somebody knows this is what I am going to do, no matter what. If it means putting my life on the line, then I'm going to do it, which he did. But for people like that, I guess it's a calling. For us, because we have gone through the corporate world, we understand this, we understand this, we understand this, you ask yourself, do I really want to get this uncomfortable? Because I love Uganda this much? If the answer is yes, then we're going to do it. Like I said, all hope is not lost. It's something to talk about and to discuss, I agree, but I don't think that we have lost all our age bracket to
and it's not as if you're afraid of politics. I mean, right now you're the president of the CEO of the Ugandan Federation of Basketball. So leadership is not outside your wheelhouse.
No, far from it.
Now, this is going to be my last question because you've given me quite a lot of your time and I'm super appreciative.
Thanks.
Among the loves of your life, there's radio, there's communicating, there's storytelling, but there's basketball, obviously. And there's no other reason that you would be taking this responsibility as CEO. So let's talk about African basketball. A few years ago, I think the last time Kigali had the Basketball Africa League playoffs, the City Oilers were there.
Yes.
I was super excited. I always like to see a Ugandan team do well because then it brings a certain energy to the BK Arena.
I was there as well.
Yeah?
It was nice.
Do you think you'll have a team this year?
Highly unlikely this year.
Yeah.
No.
What happened?
We probably won't. I think the team that should have gone, I think, opted out last minute for both. It's not a cheap endeavor.
Yeah.
To get a team ready for BAL, for Basketball Africa League. The players that are going to make a difference for you cost a pretty penny. Putting them in camp for a time that's required, especially if you've gotten people from all over the world or all over the African continent or all over wherever, to put them together for a certain amount of time, that costs even an amount of money. So the entire process of getting a team to BAL that's going to compete favorably requires a decent bank account.
What does that look like in USD?
$300,000.
Around $300,000.
Yeah.
Just to get
a decent team there. Now, if you want to play big, like the APRs or the Nairobi City Thunder or the Dar es Salaam people where they have gotten now complete big bucks, we're in $1 million plus.
Wow.
And that's when now you can chest thump and say, now I'm going to BAL. I'm not going to represent Uganda, I'm going to compete. And now you have shopped right and you are in $2 million, that's your budget.
Uganda's not a pro country, yeah?
No, we're not, but we have just started putting the necessary funding into sports. And by just, I mean maybe last 5 years. Okay?
Because one of the things that I've seen that exists here is a huge and very powerful private sector.
Yeah. But you see, if the way sports normally works is the BK Arena, the Kigali, what's
BK, the Bank of Kigali.
Bank of Kigali was never going to spend that kind of money until the arena was built. They were probably going to put their money somewhere else, but they are there. The money they have, but where are they going to put their money? Now, in Uganda, basketball is, like most places, considered an elite sport. It's not like South Sudan where that's their bread and butter. Rwanda, it's becoming bread and butter. For most of the other African countries, the bread and butter is football. And if you go to football, you will find they have never failed to get sponsors.
Yeah.
Whether it's a beer company, whether it's a telco company, they actually fight for it. Why? Because they have the facilities, they have the numbers, they have definitely, once you put those two together, you'll get the corporates. Basketball, we have always had a challenge. We don't have facilities, which means we can't sell numbers. We had a small little arena called Gogo, which barely seats 1,000 people. It's not been completely maintained, so it has its own challenges. And if I walk into a corporate person's desk and say, please give me X amount of money for basketball, he's like, explain to me how this ROI works, boss. You have a 900-seater, the seats are broken, the toilets don't work. You may or may not have it because it's a multi-purpose arena, so you want to put our games there, and they tell you no. Another facility, some other people have taken it, and it's your games are now moved to a not so good looking outdoor basketball court. Now the corporate guy is going to look at you and say, this doesn't add up, bro. Yeah, so it's not. But as like I said, funding has improved. We will soon have an arena. We have the now nice Hoima Arena, which we did the other day, and I visited it, and it's world class. And we are even going to host some international tournaments there. And these are the things that, number one, improve the popularity of the sport. Number two, improved corporate interest in it. Number three, increase the fan base.
I guess. So I've had the CEO of the NBA Africa on this podcast, Clara Kamanzi, and we've talked about what does the future of the Basketball Africa League look like. And recently, there was an announcement that the future of the Basketball Africa League would be less like the UEFA Champions League, right? So national champions
the best of the best
go. It's going to be like the NBA. Certain teams have a franchise, certain countries or cities. So Kampala would have the Kampala Cranes.
Yeah.
Right? And you're in charge of also development of the game. And there's an argument that the way the Basketball Africa League, the way it works today, helps develop the game because people work very, very hard. Teams compete to become national champions. Not just to become national champions, but then to play at an African level where you're then able to get money from the Nikes and the Jordan brands and this and that.
Even making it to the final is actual cash that comes to you as a team and as a player. As a player, yeah.
So what then happens to national leagues because once the NBA gets involved in something, then it's just going to suck all the oxygen in the room. They will take all the sponsorship. They will take all the ad revenue from television viewerships. They will take a lot of even the political capital. They might even take all the talent.
Well, the player wins at that point, but okay.
Yeah, but then how many players can a team take, right? So then what is left for a Ugandan league when no one's watching? Everyone already only cares about the much funner product, the much more interesting, the much more competitive, much more exciting NBA product. What does it do to a league like yours that is not even, that is just barely keeping its head above water?
Keeping afloat, yeah.
And you know what I mean? Like it's a real worry. Are you worried?
100%. I actually had this conversation with Claire. I think it was about, BAL is going for its 6th edition. I think it was like in its 2nd. We met in Nairobi. We had a meeting, and she asked me, "What's your honest take, Marcus, on this matter?" And I gave her the exact same input you have said. I said, the one thing BAL had done for all nations that could make it there it was now our aspirational area for every league. You work hard during the league so that you win the league so that you make it to BAL. Now, and this is what I said. I said, if you remove that, you've removed the aspiration. Because my team will not make it if it's already locked down into permanent clubs. And she said, what if we did it in such a way where, we lock down six permanent homes?
Yes.
And then the other
qualifiers.
Two can qualify. I said, that could work, but it comes back to the same thing. How do you determine which two? That's number one. Secondly, those guys the guys who have secured the base as a home, what does that do? They don't need to work as much because they know that it's coming.
But better yet, they'll come and steal all your talent.
100%. So fast forward to maybe a month ago, we had another meeting. And I looked at the BAL that just ended in I think it's called Kalahari division, where it's the qualifiers. I think there was the Nairobi team, the Tanzania team, the Al Ali team from Libya, and I don't know which other team. And then, first of all, the talent has drastically improved.
Yeah.
Pretoria hosted the last one of the qualifiers, and I think in a 4 or 5 day span, in the 13-day game period, they got, I think, 8,000. No, yeah, 8,000 something. Over a 13-day period, this last time, I think they were in 130K fans. Now, if you do the numbers and you say, let's assume worst case scenario, all of them is paying $5.
That's real money.
That's genuine cash that you as a country or a team or whatever can take to the bank because they don't touch your gate collections. That's your money. Now, for the people that have these arenas that can host these things, Rwanda, Angola, South Africa, Senegal, Morocco, they can actually milk these things to actually make money and it becomes a real business and say, you know what, this is what we do. This arena is going to make for us money when it comes to BAL. And for that, we're going to have to invest some money. However much money that Claire is looking for, I don't know. But having looked at Pretoria's numbers this time round, my mindset is changing. I said, this thing might actually work.
Of a closed league.
Of closed league. I said, it might actually work because South Africa isn't a basketballing nation. No, they have all the arenas in the world, but South Africa is football, rugby, running, mention any other sport, swimming. But basketball is not something they put in their top 20 of sports they do, or even do well. But to see those arenas full, game after game, imagine sporting a basketball nation like Uganda, or Rwanda, or Angola, or Morocco, that actually has basketball talent where they can actually win, host and win. This could actually be worthwhile a conversation to have. Because if you had told me the Rwandan numbers were 130,000, I'd have said, but Rwanda is a basketball nation. They love the game. So it's not a benchmark we can use. But to see South Africa pull up such numbers, it's something you definitely have to think about now.
So then
that was my thinking.
Where does that leave the Ugandan basketball? Where does that leave
We
Ugandan
have to
basketball?
move faster with our arena. That's what it means. If we want to be a part of this cake, that's what it boils down to. We cannot be left behind. We need to have an arena in this town. And I guarantee you, with an arena, sir, the ball game changes for basketball in this country.
You have to be careful, because if you watch the NBA, there are cities that have arenas but don't have teams because there are only so many teams.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss the boat and all of a sudden have an arena but no franchises.
No, franchises, we see, first of all, funding into sports, like I said, was not there the way it's supposed to be 5 years ago. Now it's there. Like the government is putting money into, $100 million into an arena. That means we are taking sports seriously, and basketball in particular. And it's a multi-purpose indoor arena, so the volleyball is going to benefit, netball is going to benefit, table tennis is going to benefit, all the handball is going to benefit, basketball is also going to benefit. Now, if we say that, guys, let's put together 2-3 teams for BAL and call it whatever we call it. Bring your 200K, 200K, 300K, let's make $1 million. And we go. And the money that we make from this arena, when we are hosting, is ours to split. It's a worthwhile discussion. Because like I said, 130,000 tickets each day for $5 each. Hey, my friend, we're in millions. Now, if you're going to put 200,000 and you're guaranteed almost to get 2 million back, even if you get $1 million back or even $500,000 back, ROI makes sense. So, like I said, the South African numbers changed my mindset a bit. It opened me up to, if we have an arena, it is something definitely Uganda should consider. But only if the arena is present.
And I guess the if is based off of the politicians who signed the checks. Marcus, you need to
get into politics.
You see, it goes
back.
back.
It goes back to the other thing. Food for thought, bro.
Food for thought.
Food for thought, for sure. But if the people who we have spoken to live up to their word, including and not limited to the people in the first family who promised us an arena, we are good to go. Now, after that, what we need to figure out is its management. And then we're home and dry. Because you don't want it to be mismanaged. Then, you have this beautiful place and you have toilets that don't work.
God forbid.
Yeah.
Marcus, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
You've given me... I had no idea that, working as an East African was so difficult. My own personal experience has been, when I come here and I'm trying to speak to Ugandans, someone asked me, but why are you talking to Ugandans? Because they're our neighbors as Rwandans, and we need to start talking to each other and understanding each other.
And that should show you the mentality of whether or not, how long it's going to take us to unite as East Africans. Yeah.
It's tough, but you've proved it. You've done it. You've paid the price, and maybe what you should do is keep banging on that drum. Yeah. We need to talk to each other. We need to know each other. We need to...
With the help of podcasts like this, people like you, I think it will do the necessary, open the minds of the people who are still blocked in us, we are Rwandans, us, we are Ugandans, us, we are Kenyans, us, we are...
It's tough.
So kudos to you and what you're trying to do. So well done.
Thank you so much. You're very kind.
Sir. Well done. Thanks.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. I haven't talked like this in this long in a while. Even all my radio days, I didn't talk this much.
I hope it wasn't that bad.
No, it was good. It was a beautiful conversation. Thanks for having me.
It's been amazing.